Good evening, everybody. Welcome to FMA Discussion. This is episode 223, and tonight we have Guru Jerry Jacobs. And what makes tonight special is that we're going to cover both his FMA journey and Silat. So we're going to go with FMA first, segue into Silat. He's also got a demo and showing kind of the compare and contrast between FMA weapons and Silat weapon use, as well as empty hand and versus FMA empty hand. So kind of take a lens at both the methodologies. He's going to give some explanation to that. So I'm looking forward to that. It's kind of parallels some of the questions I had as far as if, what he could describe as far as the differences or nuances or similarities. So he's going to cover that in the demo. So what better way to do that than demos?
Right.
So almost like you read my mind. So if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from, smash that like button, and we're just getting started. So thank you. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Dean.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I said, we're going to cover more and more Silat, and this is really nice, that you also have an FMA background. So with that being said, kind of what was your first FMA experience, and what led you to it?
So my first introduction was through the Inosanto blend. So cause as we talked before, I kind of started in karate when I was 10 years old, went through boxing, fought Golden Gloves and boxed all through middle school and high school. Started doing Kempo karate when I was 17. And around the same time, the program that I was in with Kempo, those teachers also were under Guro Dan Inosanto and under Rick Fay in the Minnesota College group. So we had that curriculum. So basically what it was is they tried to get people into the Kempo, and once you got up into the later belts in the Kempo before black belt, they started to introduce you into the JKD, the Kali, the Eskrima, the shoot wrestling, Muay Thai, and we started kind of mixing some of that in. So I really love that. I still continued on and worked through my black belts in Kempo, got my second degree black belt, I was working on my third degree black belt. But I started doing JKD, Kali, Inosanto, Minnesota College group blend around 1993. And just continued training in that through around 1995. And I loved it. I loved the Filipino martial arts so much that my teacher and I also did a training group with actually Tuhan Bill McGrath. So that's back when, I think it wasn't too long after they formed PK International, and he started doing the training groups and the training book manuals, things like that. So we started up a group. I can remember my teacher painting the logo on the wall and everything, the PTI logo, and attending seminars back then with Tuhan Bill, of course with Rick Fay and with Guro Dan. So I just love that. I love the FMA. So I've been doing it always since 1993, and then around May of 1996 is when I got introduced to Penchak Silat as a system or a style in itself, outside of the Inosanto or Rick Fay blend, and more Pakita Tertia, because my teacher also taught Pakita Tertia. So I went with him in 1996 and started training in Penchak Silat, Pakita Tertia under him, and trained with him for 5 years till around 2001. That whole time I was also trained with Penekra William Sanders, which was his teacher, and in both Penchak Silat, and he had a mixture of the Filipino martial arts in there, because back in the 80s and early 80s, mid 80s, he was in that whole mix with Grand Tuhan Gahe and Eddie Joffrey. So he learned extensively from Eddie Joffrey, went on several trips to Indonesia with him, trained with him, quite a bit. And kind of learning some Pakiti. I even have videos of him refereeing a stick fighting match at the Inosanto Academy in the parking lot with Greg Allen, my teacher.
I think I know the video you're referencing.
You see that video? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Greg Allen fighting a couple of guys, and
yeah. So my teacher, William Sanders, who was there, he was the one reffing. He was reffing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So. And then you had, Guro Dan over there sitting, just kind of smiling.
Yeah, I remember he was sitting, Greg Alon, and Greg, and the usual boisterous and self and all that. I do remember the video, but I want to just back up just a bit. When you mentioned Inosanto curriculum being kind of your first exposure. When you did get exposed to that, what were your initial thoughts? Because you're kind of coming prior to that. I mean, you're coming Western boxing, you're coming traditional systems, and now you're seeing this weapon and these different movements.
Yeah. I was honestly, I was pretty amazed. So like when I started in Kempo, I'll tell you a story. So my first night in Kempo when I was 17 years old, like I said, I've been boxing since I was 12. So I was used to, sparring 12, 15 rounds with grown men, hard, tough training, And so my first night training in Kempo, after class that night, all the black belts and brown belts asked if anybody want to stay and spar. And I was like, yeah, I will, I'll stay and spar. So we did. And, needless to say, like they couldn't really do anything. I mean, like my footwork was so good, my head movement, my bobbing, weaving, my punches. I was just basically pummeling every single black belt and brown belt in there. Until we got done, and they were just like, "Why are you even here?
Yeah,
what do you come here for?" I said, "Well, because I want to learn. I want to learn the art. I want to learn more. I want to learn more than just punching. I want to learn elbows and knees and weapons and ground fighting, grappling, and everything." So it was kind of like everything was like a step up. So when I learned Kempo, it was like a step up from boxing because I already had the hands, but now I was mixing in different weapons, different tools, and different theories and concepts and principles and different footwork and things like that. And then when I started doing JKD and the whole Minnesota Kali group and Guro and Asano curriculum, it was like another step up, because now we're adding the trapping, we're adding the stick work and the knife work and and everything like that. So I was kind of looking at everything. Wow, everything's just stepping up. Like this is a step up from Kempo. JKD is a step up. Kali's a step up. And I just loved it. And then when I started training in Penchak, Silat, and Pikiti with my other teacher, it was like another step up. It wasn't like it was. It's not that it was better. It's just that it was different, and it was like it was the systems in their entirety, basically. The Penchak, Silat in its entirety wasn't just like, all right, you do an entry with a savate kick into a Wing Chun trap into a Silat sweep. You know what I mean?
Right. It would be the concepts. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So now you're learning the full system. You're learning the entire Silat system, and a lot of people are under the misconception that Silat didn't have long range. It didn't have kicks. It didn't have trapping. It didn't have all these other things. So you had to do savate, you had to do Muay Thai, you had to do Wing Chun, you had to do Kali. So you had to do all these different things, where in reality, when I started learning Silat, I discovered it had all that in it. It already had all that in it. So, and in the principle and the concept of it is very similar to Bruce Lee's. It's like, you strike with your longest range weapon first to the nearest target, your lead leg to the kneecap, lead hand, back leg, moving with elbows and knees, taking the ground, finish them off. That was a complete concept of the Penchak Silat that I started learning, and it always took three things into account. So one was you would be attacked by surprise. Two was there would be multiple opponents. And three was that we always assumed they had some type of weapon, or they all had weapons.
Expect a weapon. Expect a weapon. It's a good mindset. I mean,
yeah. So that's what we train for constantly.
And then, so I just want to give. We got some folks here saying hello. We got Terry from Stockton. We got Royce Ramos from New York. We got Seafood Greg Rashad.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
And we got Brett from Kentucky. Yeah, folks, if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button. So you're liking what you're seeing in the Asano blend and all that. At what point, you kind of mentioned it that, obviously it sounds like at some point from there, you got into Pikiti, Turgia and all that. What was the bridge there from kind of, from what you were currently doing as far as Rick Faye's there and all that? How did that come about? Your intro to Pikiti.
Yes. So, like I said, we were doing Pikiti at that time. And then when I branched off and, basically what I wasn't really looking to leave JKD. I wasn't really looking to leave anything that I was doing. I was just looking to branch out and learn more, and especially in Silat and Kali and, Filipino martial arts. So I was in particular looking for a good Silat instructor and maybe other FMA instructors to learn entire systems, to add into what I had. And my training partner at the time, he was more focused on finding other Wing Chun teachers, because he was a little more, he loved Wing Chun a little bit more, and he loved FMA as well, but his goal was to find some good Wing Chun teachers. So, once I found my Silat teacher, I found that he was very, very good at Pikiti Tertia as well. And he was hooked up with Grand Tuhan at that time. He had the Pikiti Tertia Midwest Pit Bulls out of Detroit.
Okay, I wasn't familiar. Huh, all right, okay.
Yeah, so Guru Jeff Davidson. Later on, he actually did some training with my teacher, Tuhan Mel, and also Doug Markaida. And actually, I believe him and Doug are still pretty good friends today and still do some stuff together. So Pikiti was always, I always just loved the Pikiti, as far as the FMA goes. Everything that I saw within, and both, obviously, Guru Dan and Guru Rick had a lot of Pikiti in what they did.
The blend,
and then the blend, and I would see it, and I'm like, oh, that's Pikiti. I love the Pikiti, And then, of course, having the training group back then with Tuhan Bill, of course, back then we're ordering every single video we can get with Grand Tuhan, with Uncle Nene Tortal, and all those, the Contradas videos and all the PTI videos and stuff like that. And we're just training them every day, along with training, of course, with our teachers and Guru Dan and Guru Rick. So I just loved it. Love the Pikiti. It's always been. I've always looked at, and it's been infused because, like we talked about with Penecor, Joffrey, back in the day when Grand Tuhan and Joffrey were doing the Machpahit Empire seminars together, and Tuhan Bill McGrath was there, and Greg Allen was there a lot of the times. There was a lot of Silat infused and a lot of Pikiti, going back and forth. There's even videos of Penecor Joffrey doing stick work, doing Pikiti stick work, it looks great. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of cross influence there between the Silat and the Pikiti.
As far as the PTK, what really, for you to want to dive deeper into it and all that, aside from the other FMA systems you were exposed to via the blends, I mean, what really resonated with you that you really?
So the first thing was the footwork.
Yeah, so they dive into footwork in PTK.
Yeah, I mean the footwork was phenomenal. I was infatuated with the footwork, and then just the blade work. The footwork and the blade work were the two things that when I first saw them, I was just like, wow, I gotta have that. And I was mesmerized by it, the footwork. And I brought my teacher in for a seminar at my school, and my students were like, wow, And a lot of it was basic stuff, but it was just like the footwork was so refined. You can make just a small refined movement with the footwork and with the body positioning to make a counterattack, a contrada or recontra, so simple, and the destruction. The other thing was the destruction of the pangomut and the hunting the limbs and destroying, breaking the fist. I mean, I think one of the first techniques I learned was like the 5 elbows, break the fist, elbow, shoulder, head. I was asking Tuhan Bill if he still teaches that, and he said he still does, today.
Yeah, so he's extensive. I mean, when I look at his system as far as organizational structure, I don't think there's any better. I mean, he is
very organized, very, very professional. And he said no secrets there. It's all right there.
No. He's the transparency is definitely there. I mean,
and that's the same thing with our Penchak Silat system with PCK Silat. Whole curriculum's right there for you to see. There's no secret. You go right through it.
Yeah, the whole thing. You have to wait till you get the secret techniques.
Right. Yeah. It's a huge curriculum, just like Tuhan Bill's curriculum is very extensive. Our Silat curriculum is very extensive. Yeah.
So as far as the early days, because now we're kind of circa 90. So you were getting the 12 methods, 64 ways of attack.
Yeah.
Sagitas,
64 attacks, Sagitas, 5 attack subsystem, footwork,
Contradas,
Demano, Contradas, Recontras, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so no Tri-V formula quite
yet. Not back then, nope. I didn't get introduced to the Tri-V until Tuhan Mel.
Yeah, that seems like it came early 2000s. Maybe Royce or yourself would know, but that's when I recall first hearing about it. We got Lori here.
Hey, Lori.
Actually, look, I have to give a a big thank you to Lori, because she's the one that actually gave me your name. So thank you, Lori.
Yep, thanks.
We got Mark, we got Brett. Just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. We got Paul Dotson. All right, we got Kevin Jacket.
Paul Dotson, that's a student of mine. How's it going, Paul?
We got Kevin Jacket from Colorado. That's
another student. Hey, Kevin.
Oh, all right. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Oh, neat, man. They're coming out to. That's awesome. That's awesome. Right. Yeah. Oh, Lori. So then, all right. So obviously, bikini is really resonating with you, and you want.
Yeah, and the training back then was pretty hardcore, to be honest with you. I mean, it was no gear, no equipment, full contact sparring. I mean, I have a plastic tub full of VHS-C tapes of me and my students sparring. I mean, you're talking full contact stick, no gloves, no nothing, no headgear, stick, knife, double stick, single stick, everything. Everything was full contact. We put everything in the lab, saw what worked, what didn't work, just went at it.
Wow. Jeez. So then, so now, and you just continue. I mean, like you're doing, you're experimenting around with the old methods there, or that I don't know if old methods maybe is the correct way of putting it, but then the training group with Tuhan Bill, and at some point you kind of meet the man, one of my favorites, just being around Greg Alland.
Yeah.
How did that occur?
So Greg and I were in contact through the 90s, especially since he was friends with Pennecker Joffrey, and he knew that my teacher, William Sanders, they all knew each other. They all trained together back in the day, and that whole group of, those times of teaching all those seminars with the Majapahit Empire kind of is what they were promoting. If you looked at the old demos, you would see, Joffrey would do like part of the Silat demo, and my teacher, William Sanders, would do some of the Silat demo. Tuhan Bill was out there doing the Bikini, and of course, Grand Tuhan. So I did a lot of stuff together, and Greg Allen was usually the one kind of putting the events together and kind of helping out and things like that. So we were in contact, and he had the World College Silat Society. I watched a lot of his videos back then.
That's right, New York. I forgot.
All those old videos. Yeah, those are funny, but a lot of good information.
They are funny, man.
There's some funny ones, but he had Joffrey on there. He had Cañete. A lot of really good, awesome instructors.
Can you still get those?
I don't think you can get them anymore.
I was gonna say, I tried to find. I let one out, and I never got it back. I lost touch with the guy, but I always wondered if they were still available, because God, I would love just to get them.
You would probably have to try to find them online somewhere and see if somebody wants to part with them. I know I still have them.
Yeah, I know. Like you said, though, the one I had was funny. His yells and all that.
Oh yeah, his yells and stuff. Yeah, very funny. And he was a quirky character, but man, he was very skillful.
Oh no, he absolutely
super giving. Yeah, and he would make videos for me, and not ones that he would sell. He would just send them to me. Because I would ask him lots of questions about Joffrey days and this and that and this technique or that application, and he would just make a video, and then all of a sudden, a week later, I'd have a video in the mail. With all the things that I asked about him, showing him, things like that. So just super nice. Yeah. So then I ended up bringing him into Detroit and bringing him in for some seminars, and everybody loved him. He was just.
No, he was definitely likable. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of energy, giving. I mean, the first, and he taught it kind of traditional, the way that Grand Tuhan always talked about, and Tuhan Bill talked about footwork. I mean, the whole first 3 hours was footwork, nonstop until people were basically falling down already, and I was like, all right, now we pick up the sticks,
Yeah.
Now people are barely even able to stand,
After.
So, and Tuhan Bill actually trains very similar. He does a lot of footwork in the beginning, a lot of base work.
I think it's just a staple of PTK. What do you know PTK for? Well, you're going to be warming up with a lot of footwork. I mean, you hear it just, So I just think it's one of those things that just goes hand in hand when you hear about PTK.
And for some reason, I really fell in love with the 64 attacks back then. And honestly, every teacher I've trained with have taught them to me just a little bit different. It's always little subtle differences, which is great because everyone has their own kind of way of moving.
Their own twist or what they got out of it, maybe.
What they got out of it's a little different, a little extra. So, I've learned the 64 attacks, I think, from, 5 different teachers, and all with just a little bit different nuances and different things. So that's always been my love is, the 64 attacks. I just think everything's in there, in Pikiti, pretty much. I mean, of course, now the Tri-V, very important. And I like it because it's simplistic in essence, and complicated at the same time once you really understand it. But the 64 attacks were just always, I just like the old school method.
Yeah, no, which is what I want to ask you. Like, I guess in the simplest terms, you could put it to the audience, and Tuan Mel and Guru Royce touched upon this, but for your interpretation, like, what could you explain as far as the differences, like 12 methods, 64 attacks, Sagitas, and all that, as far as the Tri-V formula? Like, what stands out to you that, as far as the differences?
Well, to me, the Tri-V kind of simplified almost simplified. So back, Tuhan Bill really kind of took the 5 attack subsystem and kind of made that something special, I think, as well. Especially with like with the matrix pattern, the way he would do it for offensive attacks and things like that. And I think that's a way in the forward, reverse, fluid, broken circular angles. I think the way Tuan Bill did that was pretty awesome. And I didn't really see any other teachers really doing it that way. So I really like that as well. But the Tri-V to me just really simplifies the combative gross motor movements and making it more simplistic and than having, somebody in the beginning, they're not going to have these fine motor skills and stuff when you get the adrenaline pumping and people are scared, something's happening. They're resorting more to, gross motor caveman type movements. And the Tri-V kind of gives you those solid, powerful angles and counterattacks. If you're just doing like your 1, 2, 2, and it's coming across with your horizontal strikes for your power shots and adding double force to it, things like that. It's just much more simplistic, quicker for people to learn. I think to learn combat.
Yeah, it seems like an abridged system almost.
Yeah, in a shorter amount of time, exactly. So to me, it's almost, and it makes a lot of sense. The way that Tuhan Mal teaches it, to me, it makes a lot of sense to teach that first. And then if you want to get more complicated, teach the 5 attack subsystem, then get into, Dosing Methalis and the 64 attacks and, things like that.
Okay. So that's it. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. I can see that.
That's the way that's the way I think, so.
Yeah. No. Makes sense. So then,
now Tuhan Bill was, he would do 12 sets of 12, with the attacks and, like Greg Allen, he would do 12 attacks and then just do, 3 or 4 different variations. Oh, you can do it with, with a stick and forward grip, reverse grip, puño, bayonet grip, things like that. Right, kind of took it down to simplistic, Yeah,
I do remember it because my exposure to Tri-V, you had to shoulder load, mid load.
Different load positions. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So and then so you can So you continue there. So you're kind of still the umbrella of Tuan Bill, but you're also with Greg Alon, but you haven't really.
We were only under Tuan Bill when I was with my first school, so that was only up until about 95, 96. So when I started training with my other teacher, Jeff Davidson, broke away from my old teachers. My one teacher actually sold me the school, and he moved away. My other teacher, who was his teacher, Sifu Guru Paul Bonner, who was under Dan Asano and Rick Fay. We just kind of went our own ways, and I decided to go that direction, and continue to train under, Guru Jeff Davison and Pennecker William Sanders and Silat and Kali.
And then the Kali just being for that at that point, basically just PTK.
Just PT. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. And then so far as your teachers, again, Greg Alond, Tuan Bill, Tuan Mel, just for the audience, in just quick, short terms, sort of a little on each, what resonates with you for each of them, their teaching styles, their, what do you think you got out of them as far as that really stands out or that's significant?
So Tuhan Bill, again, with Tuhan Bill, it was pretty much all seminar settings, with him, So, but he was number one. I remember him have us do angle one on the tire for, like 3 hours. It was about basics, and developing basics and power and loading and, body positioning, footwork. But also just remember him being like just an awesome technician. Everything was just meticulous, his angles, the lines, footwork, counters, recounters, everything just in the way that his curriculum was laid out, no, complete transparency, nothing hidden. You knew exactly what you were going to do, what you're going to learn. Just fantastic, great teacher, very patient, awesome teacher. Yeah. With Guro Jeff was just, he was more geared towards spontaneous, flow. He focused more on the 64 attacks, blade work, single sticks, double stick as well, but not as much. But a lot of sparring, His goal was to create fighters, was really what it was about. And he kind of weeded them out from day one, so it was learning and then it was fighting. It was a lot of sparring, single stick, double stick, knife, empty hand, full contact, no gear all the time. So I remember all night training sessions where we would train all night long, get in there about 10, 11 p.m., train till 5, 6 in the morning. Sometimes that was just sparring all night long, So, yeah, fun. A lot of bumps and bruises, a lot of cuts, Yeah.
And then how about, and can't leave him out, Greg along.
Greg? Yeah, so Greg, what I loved about Greg was, number one is, just so generous and, just so funny, his attitude, so giving. But as far as, skill-wise, I loved how he did non-cooperative drills. So non-cooperative drills, meaning, we're doing this drill, we're doing duck up and puño or sagang labo or whatever. But the goal is, can I hit you? Can you hit me? The goal is not to do the drill.
Yeah, that saying. What was the saying? Oh my God.
He would say, "Can I hit you? Can you hit me?"
Yeah. I remember. It's just so funny.
Yeah, that was the goal, and that's really what Jeff Davison did too. When we did hubad, sagang labo, things like that, we tried to hit each other. We got hit from day one, and that kind of weeded people out. People that couldn't take a hit, say everybody has a good game plan until they get hit, right? People would get hit and. They're out of there.
It wasn't for them, right?
Yeah. So, we got hit a lot, and Mas Guro Greg. He loved doing non-cooperative drills, and to me, that's the way you get better at drills. So if you're doing hubad, or you're doing sagang labo, or puño sembrado, duck up and puño, anything. If you just continue to do the drill and like, oh yeah, you can switch it like this, you can do this disarm, you can do this takedown. That's all great. But are you really increasing your timing? Are you really increasing your sensitivity? Are you really
right? You got it memorized, but are you really? Yeah, no.
Right. But now when we come out of that drill and I actually go to hit you, did I hit you or did you block it? Right? Because I came out of that. Right. Came out of that drill. I'm not in that that form anymore. That sequence.
Yeah.
So as soon as I break that, are you actually covered? Are you actually protecting yourself? Are you protecting your low line, your high line? Are you protecting your blind side? So if you're getting hit, then if this is a real fight, you're obviously going to get hit. So when we do all those drills, it's always with the point of hitting each other, And of course with control, because we want students to keep coming back. We want to keep training.
Yeah, you want to have training partners.
But if you never hit each other, the drill's really not going anywhere.
No, right. How do you know?
Exactly. So once you get to the point to where you're staying in those drills, so it's, in Bikini, if we're doing break in, break out into, sagang labo and duck up and puño and all these different things. I've seen some people do it and it looks awesome, but when you start adding hits to it, it changes the whole ball game. And that's what Greg did a lot. As soon as you start adding the hits in, it's like, oh,
yeah.
All of a sudden you get a watique in your eye, and then, your stick is gone and you're like, oh crap, what happened?
Yeah, he was definitely sneaky. He had some really sneaky, and I remember, can I stop you? Can you stop me? That was his.
Yep.
That was his saying. That was so.
That was, yes. Yeah.
Jeez, what a.
Yeah, that's what was great about Greg, the non-cooperative drills. So that's why I like. So, I was used to doing duck up and puño sembrado, but it wasn't until Greg where, we're doing it, all of a sudden he's like popping me in the head and taking my stick, and I'm just like, whoa. you know?
Yeah, he was sneaky. I just remember when he used to come up to White Plains. I used to go meet him with a couple other guys, and he would just pull out some sneaky stuff, man. And it was hard not to laugh because of him, and his demeanor, mannerism. So you're trying not to laugh. You're trying to, but you can't. So it's almost like the ability to concentrate, depending on who you are. It was tough. I mean, you know.
Well, that's what he would do is he would hit you, take your stick, and then, or, you know, disarm it, your stick goes flying, then he would pick it up and go, like, oh, you dropped your stick.
You know? And then you would get that axe.
You might want this back.
He was just, I had such good, just funny, fun memories of it.
And I have to say, like, you know, Greg, so, you know, him and I, you know, so we had, you know, Connector Joffrey in common, you know, and my other teacher, William Sanders. So they all, you know, of course, knew each other, trained together. So he had a lot of respect for my Silat training, you know, and also all the information that I got from Connector William Sanders from Joffrey, because he said, you know, Sanders got a lot of information from Joffrey that Greg didn't, and vice versa, you know, because Sanders got all the blade Jurus and a bunch of other things. So I remember, you know, Greg and I moving, and, you know, with the stick, and, you know, of course, Greg was awesome. And the single stick work, double stick, incredible, you know. Then we moved with the blade. No, I mean, with the stick, I would say, you know, I hear Greg just take the stick, you know.
Yeah. Why don't you just take it?
When we went to blade work, it was a little bit different. You know, I would say, and Greg would have said, you know, we were just like, you know, right together, eye and eye, you know, blade to blade, boom. And then when I got the empty hands, Greg said, Jerry, I just run.
Right with your boxing background.
Yeah, he was like, I would just run. He's like, nope.
Yeah, I was like, he
was funny that way. You know?
Yeah, he was. Again, just on so many planes. I tell you, I really enjoyed the time that, you know, I wish it was more. I wish, you know, but
yeah.
we got Guru Danny Terrell here. All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Tuan Mel. What can you know? I mean, what can you tell us about him as far as your teacher?
Yeah. So Tuan Mel. Gosh, I want to say, when did we meet? 2014, 15, I believe. I don't even remember how we met exactly or how we got talking, but we got talking, and I was in Cleveland at the time. And so I was, you know, kind of working and teaching out of there, and working with Guro Tony Marcial out of his school in Cleveland. And, you know, we just talked with Tuhan Mel and talked about bringing him in, and brought him in for, I believe, the first summer I was there in Cleveland. And just, man, I was just blown away with Tuhan Mel, man. Just number one, his skill level. Obviously, his skill is phenomenal. But just his character, the way that he teaches, the way that he you know, talks to students, the way that he talks to his instructors, the way that he wants to spread the system, and no politics, you know, just brotherhood and, you know, sisterhood, and no problem. But most off his character, he's hilarious. His laugh is intoxicating. It just makes you.
Yeah, but I had him on. He seemed just really pleasant and just.
He's really pleasant, really down to earth. I mean, right away, it's like we've known each other for years, you know.
Yeah. I could definitely see him being somebody really easy to learn from.
It's almost like learning and training with him. It's just like learning and training with just hanging out with a friend, you know, and training.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
tacos and hanging out, and.
No, I can see that from the interview with him. He just seemed really down to earth and easy.
Yeah, matter of fact, we were just talking last week, and he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to come hang out and train and eat some tacos." So,
of all things, tacos.
We have some good taco places around here. So,
I like Joe. Joe is always funny. Danny Terrell, but for some people, they ugly all the time.
It does get ugly. So, I mean, you have to take it in stages.
Yeah.
You know, when you're training that way.
There's another mess of a guy. Joe. That guy kills me. So you're still, geez. I mean, so you must have a really good, interesting, like, far as your students are concerned, like what you're able to give them. I mean, like, you obviously exposure to on Bill,
right?
Guy Hay, Greg Alon, you're the initial guy that Jeff. And then Tuan Mel, I mean, you got from like a lot of avenues as far as interpretations and what have you. Have you found that obviously broaden your horizons as far as the insight into systems and ways of doing things and different methodologies?
Oh yeah, definitely. So what I've found over the years in FMA and Silat aren't the only things, of course, boxing, Kempo, but I've trained with a lot of other teachers as well in all kinds of different styles, whether, Bart Vale and shoot fighting. I've trained with Sifu Francis Fong. I've trained with, Grandmaster Pan Ching Fu and, Iron Fist. I mean, just all kinds of different stuff. Chen Tai Chi, pretty much anything you can think of except for, a couple other things. Taekwondo, I've really never delved into. A little bit of Hapkido I have. But just so many different things. But what I found in FMA and Silat is, and Tuhan Mel is the one that coined Srivijaya fighting arts for me, to kind of tell actually what I do, which is, the Silat and the FMA together, pre-Majapahit Empire, the Srivijayan Empire coming from China and India to West Sumatra, Indonesia, and then from Sumatra to the southern Philippines and to West Java, to the Sundanese people. That's how the blade and stick fighting spread, from the Srivijayan Empire, pre-Majapahit Empire. So he coined that term for me and said, you need to call what you do Srivijayan, Srivijayan Kali Silat, underneath that umbrella. So under that umbrella of the Srivijayan fighting arts, we have Akita Tersha and we have, PCK Silat, underneath there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Interesting. So then, so as far as teaching, like when you teach PT, is there certain things you pull out from each of them when you're teaching, when you're just separately teaching PTK?
Mm-hmm.
Or, is there certain things that resonate from each one of you that, hey, well, this is, I want to explain to you because this is from Tuhan Bill's lens, or hey, this was something that Greg did, or
yeah. So the base of it, everything that the way I teach now is from Tuhan Mel, but the interpretations of how I might do that and might say like, hey, this is the way that Greg Allen would say like, all right, we have to do this now, non-cooperative, and we have to do this way, and maybe different interpretation. And like with Tuhan Bill, the way he would do the 5-tag subsystem with the matrix patterns and the forward, reverse, circular angles and things like that might be a little bit different from the way that Tuhan Mel teaches it. But there's still a lot of value in that, and I still teach it that way because I really like it. Yeah.
Right. I'm sure your students are better served too from you. I mean, they're getting
different. Yeah, I think it gives them a little bit. Bigger picture and a little bit of taste from different Tuhans.
No, I think so. I think you could do that. I think it's such a value. Like if you're doing a system, like get the different lenses. Like in KI, obviously, Brandon Ricketts, but then Vigo because he's got some of the Diego, Burton, when she says still alive. I get the Lameko aspect from David Gould. And all that, but I tell you, it really helps because you see the way they do things differently, and then at the end, I think it gives you a better understanding, and then better as far as when you go to share it or teach it to students, because I think your overall understanding is that much more significant.
I was just reading some things that Lori was saying, talking about so many Hubert sessions getting hit in the face.
Oh, I must have missed that because there were some comments coming flying in at that time.
Well, she still pressure tests her students with that the way that we trained.
Okay. Yep. I missed those.
So she knows.
That's funny.
She trained the same way.
Yeah. She sounds like she's literally experienced it. So then.
Francis Fong. Yeah, so I love Francis Fong, by the way. Francis Fong is an incredible instructor.
I know, and he's God, wow, and his age for what he's doing for his age.
Man, even now, even today, yeah. His Wing Chun was so good, but it was even better because of his FMA and Silat training, and that I just remember it being so. I'm like, oh, that was Silat, we're doing Wing Chun, but I would see the Silat and everything in there, and I'm just like, oh man, the way he does it is just so nice.
Yeah, I'd heard nothing but just incredible things about him, and just what he's doing.
Really good.
Yeah, jeez. So Silat, I mean, we're gonna kind of segue into that. Like, what I know you touched on here and there throughout thus far in the interview, but like, what was the first initial exposure? What even made you gravitate towards it?
So, I mean, initially I would see like the glimpses of Silat through the Inosanto blend and through, through the MKG. And the things that I would see, like, might be, we do something, then do a Harmel takedown or a sweep or a Apollo throw or something. I'm like, oh man, that's really nice. I like that, or different Harmel leg lock or something like that I really liked. And of course, I saw a lot of, was at some Herman Swanda seminars and things like that. And I just thought it was incredible. It was fascinating. It was beautiful, artistic, but deadly at the same time. And it was something that I was looking for. I wanted to find a good teacher. And trained solely in Penchak Silat. And it happened to be that I was at my school one day. I just got done teaching. At that time, I had my full-time school, and I was teaching 14 classes a week and like 30 private lessons a week. I was super busy. And then I got a call on the telephone, someone asking me about classes and lessons because they saw my ad in the back of Inside Kung Fu. Well, it happened to be Jeff Davison, and he was the Midwest director for the Penchak Silat governing board of the USA branch. And he started asking me a bunch of questions because in the Inside Kung Fu ad, it talked about Kempo, JKD, Kali, Silat, that kind of thing. So he started asking me questions about the Silat, and I explained to him, the JKD blend and what we did and all that kind of stuff. He told me who he was and what he did. He was about an hour away in Detroit. And I said, I want to train with you. I want to come down and do some private lessons. So that was, I believe, May of 1996. And I went down there. It was about an hour drive. I scheduled an initial private lesson with him. And basically what he did was just pummel me all over his studio for like 2 or 3 hours and left me cut, bleeding, bloody nose, bloody fat lip, cut under the eyes, that kind of thing.
And this was Silat.
He did both. He did Silat and he did Pikiti. But, pretty much, he would ask me like, oh, who been, this, that. I was like, sure. And then, we started doing all something, bam, he hits, and I get clocked, knife work, stick work, and, this, that. Pretty much anything that he asked me, we did. I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything against him. At this point, I was working on my third degree black belt in Kempo. I was up at, kind of phase 5 in the MKG curriculum, like instructor level, and, Muay Thai, shoot fighting, all kinds of stuff. And to be honest with you, I couldn't touch Jeff at that time. Anything he could do, I couldn't touch him. I couldn't hit him. So I was like, sign me up, man. Sign me up.
Yeah. Somebody's kind of having their way with you.
So I started training with him in Penchak Silat and Pikiti. But our focus in the beginning was a lot more on the Penchak Silat because he was under Pennecker William Sanders at the time. And I would do 4-hour block private lessons with him every Monday and Friday. So I would do a 4-hour private lesson with them every Monday and then a 4-hour private lesson every Friday. So 8 hours of privates a week for the first couple of years of training. Yeah, so that showed how much I really like to see.
Right. Got a question from my man, Steve Brody. And Steve, oh my God, we just got another comment in here and I got to bump up. But basically, I think what Steve...
Yeah, he's asking about did anyone get injured and broken fingers? Yeah, people did get injured. Fingers, cuts, big bruises, things like that. But back then, luckily people weren't too happy. They were kind of happy to get the bumps and bruises. We did eventually go to goggles and mouthpieces and like baseball gloves. That's pretty much it. For gear.
Oh wow! So the baseball gloves were pre lacrosse, pre hockey gloves. Oh.
Yeah. So we weren't padded hardly at all. Just kind of more to just kind of protect the back of the hands a little bit from the cuts and stuff. So much.
Gotcha.
Laurie said, "Yeah, Steve Grody, we did busted fingers, busted eyebrows, lots of butterfly stitches." Yep, it was more like Jeff would take us in the back and super glue, duct tape, things like that. I'm not joking. You get cut.
I did it like 2 times. It's rough, but you run the risk of just. It's like if you, at least goggles, man. Just
So nowadays we don't do that today. Obviously, nowadays people know they got we got jobs and families and things like that. You can't cut up.
Yeah, you get older. One, you got financial responsibility. 2, you just realize hey, I want to train tomorrow. I want to train the next day. Like being injured is like no fun, man.
Yeah, no, it's no fun. Yep. You want to go train, so you can't get so injured. So, but yeah, back then it was, it was some pretty rough training.
Yeah. All right. So through Jeff, you're getting to, and that's more. It was more on the Penchak and all that.
Yeah. So so we started going through the Penchak curriculum, which was based on Chamande and also Sirach, which was, Pennecker William Sanders. His background was he trained for 12, 13 years with Guro John Maltfer, which was underneath the Willie Wetzel system, the Pukulan Chamandi system, or some say Pukulan Chamindi Chan Fa, because it's Dutch Indo, definitely some Chinese influence.
Okay.
But Willie Wetzel brought the system here from Indonesia in 1956. He taught, John Malter was one of his top students. John Malter taught William Sanders, and then William Sanders taught, my teacher and myself. So we focus a lot on the Pukulan Chamandi, Pusaka, which is what it was called then. But a lot of the Jurus were based on Sirah because William Sanders also trained with the Detuars brothers in Sirah. So he learned with learned with Pennecker Paul and Pennecker Victor, and learned the Jurus and Lanka and things like that, some of the animal forms. So back then, they were still teaching some of the animal forms, monkey, tiger, snake, crane, naga, things like that, dragon. And that was part of the Wetzel's lineage, was those animal forms, those 4 animal forms plus the naga, which was very interesting because back in that time, then there was a lot of crossover. And then there's a lot of crossover in history. You talk about, the founder Masjid and things like that. And they've discovered today that there is a lot of similarities, and the lines definitely meet and come together. And Kang Chechep Rahman helped me put that lineage all together. And that's a really interesting story as well, because Chechep, although he's from Indonesia, he's Silat Panglipur, he also traveled to the Netherlands and trained with Oom Dolf de Vries, who was the uncle of the Detuars in Sirah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you mentioned the animal forms, is there any correlation or anything at all as far as like the animal system in like Shaolin, Kung Fu? I mean, do you think any parallel or crossover?
So we do think that there's some Chinese influence in some of the animal systems. Traditionally in Indonesia, monkey and tiger, so the Pamachan and Harimau and the Pamanyet or Chimanyet are traditional Indonesian animal forms. It's very difficult to find snake and crane. Those are very much have some Chinese influence. But the way that the animal systems are done in our lineage is a lot different from the Chinese forms. It's more the spirit of the animal and the mannerisms and the fighting aspects of the animal as opposed to like forms. So we don't have set animal forms. We have characteristics and applications and techniques and things from
forms. I got you. Okay.
Exactly. So it's not like, oh, show us the monkey form.
Yeah, where it's a 12 thing and you're doing, I got you.
Exactly. Okay. So it's more like, all right, when we work Manyet, it's like you have these principles and concepts of the way the monkey fights. So it, loose hands, it slaps, it rolls, it headbutts, it bites, it eye gouges, it, it rips, it tears, it pulls, it breaks. It has these different types of things, and it has a particular way of moving. Same thing with tiger, Harimau, Pamachan, tends to move a lot lower to the ground, very powerful, a lot of ground fighting, a lot of breaks and leg locks and neck breaks and attacks, things like that. So it's more of the concepts and principles and the mannerisms and the spirit of the animal, the ferociousness. If you ever look at, 2 monkeys fighting or 2 gorillas fighting or 2 tigers fighting.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in between them.
So it's like, all right, do you want to be like that? Do you want to get in the spirit of the animal like that? Or do you want to just do a funny looking form?
Right. I get you. Like saying more in the form, it might be maybe 20 movements, whereas now you're really bringing out the essence of that particular animal. I see. And we got Sean Zerger. All right.
Hey, Sean, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, and then we got Brent. All right, so just maybe for the folks who are not familiar and all that, but maybe heard the terms, but maybe don't really know what they mean. So just as far as Chamandi and all that. So what Harimau and all that? What could you tell us, like and that on those 2 terms and maybe some of the others? And
So our system is based, Chamandi and Sirah are the 2 main styles within our system. So, they're all Sundanese styles. So Chamandi, Sirah, Chikalong, Sabandar, Karimadi, from the Sundanese people from West Java. So Chamandi is considered one of the most probably famous and oldest styles within, West Java. Chamandi is very popular, and it's known for its belligerent hitting, it's strong forearms, fist, concentrates the power into the wrist and the forearms. A lot of conditioning. Oh yeah, a lot of conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Oh, he's
it's known, yeah. So I mean, it's known for hunting the arm, hunting the limb. So it hunts the legs, it hunts the arms, and basically you learn in Chamani to break anything from the fingertips to the shoulder. Okay. And
hence the limb hunting. Okay.
Yeah, with the legs, anything from the toes to the hips. You know, you're learning to break. So you're learning to break the knees, break the ankles, break the feet. We're known to come in, stomp the foot, trap the foot, break the ankle, break the knee, while you're hunting the limbs and breaking the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments and the bones of the arms. Very similar to defanging the snake in FMA, but I mean, in Chamani, it takes it a little.
I was gonna say, like when I hear defang the snake, you think kind of wrist, but generally speaking, But
so one of the principles is what we call a principle of destruction, which basically is a systematic way to destroy your opponent's incoming weapons. So starting with joints, small joints and large joints like the fist and the knuckles, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, and then go into muscles. So then you go into biceps, triceps, things like that. And then eventually going into nerves, so your, nerve strikes that might be the size of a quarter. So now instead of just hitting the muscle belly, you're actually going for that nerve. And when you hit it, you can feel it, go all the way down, the arm drops, for example.
Okay.
Goes dead. So it's a progression. You have to start with joints, the biggest, easiest thing to hit. Then you go to muscle, and eventually nerves.
And then eventually nerves that makes sense. And that's more, Chamani. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then the Haramo?
Haramo. So Haramo is a like a subset in our style. Now Haramo is its own complete style in West Sumatra. Haramo is a complete system. So a lot of people think it's just ground fighting, but it has some complete upright fighting as well because people don't just live on the ground, obviously. So you got claws and powerful strikes standing up, powerful parries. It hunts the head and the throat when it's standing, and it hunts the groin and the legs. So the reason why Haramo goes to the ground a lot is because of the region and the area of where it was developed. It's very marshy, very slippery, a lot of rocks, so they tend to fall anyway. So it's easier just to take the opponent to the ground and fight from the ground.
Gotcha.
As opposed to slipping and falling and hitting your head on a rock and then trying to defend yourself from down there. So they just tend to like to go low right away, and if they have to start up high, take the person to the ground right away and finish them off on the ground. So the Haramo is known for a lot of locks and breaks, and it depends on who's teaching the Haramo. So if you see someone like Penneker Richard DeBoers, his Haramo is much more striking and powerful, and just taking out the legs, taking out the head, attacking the groin, attacking the groin. Where if you saw Haramo from maybe Mandi Muda, it's a little more intricate leg locks and breaks. And
that's what I see.
Leg locks and things like that. So it just depends on what lineage it comes from. If it's Sumatran, if it's West Javanese. Normally in Java, they would call it Pamachan or Chimachan, which is another term for tiger. But in general, the Pamachan still has the ground fighting, but it fights from a little more upright position more often.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Yeah.
So a lot of tiger claws and things like that,
Okay.
In the throat.
And I forgot, there are two others I want you to maybe explain.
Sarah?
Great. Thank you.
Sarah, maybe?
Yeah.
So the Sarah, within the Wetzel lineage, from Master Wetzel to John Malter to my teacher William Sanders, they always talked about Sarah, and it was in that system. So Penneker Sanders was seeking out other Sarah and Chamani teachers in the United States, and that's what led him to the Detoires brothers. And then he ended up learning the 18 Jurus from Om Paul and Victor, and other things from them. So he incorporated those Jurus into the system, among other things. The difference was back then is they thought those Jurus, or he was told those Jurus were Chamande, not Sarah. So he was always saying, Chamande Jurus, when in reality they were Sarah Jurus. So then later down the road, I was looking for other Sarah teachers and other interpretations of Sarah and Chamande. I run across a lot of different teachers. So Guro Santiago Dobles, Guru Horacio Rodriguez, who's another good friend. So these are both good friends of mine, and we've done training together and things like that. But also King Cecep Rahman, who was my current teacher from Indonesia. And the first time I brought Cecep in was around 2012. I brought him to Detroit. I believe I was the first person to bring him in through Guru Eric Kruk out in Arizona. So Guru Eric is a Haramo, teacher. He's fantastic. and he met Chechep through family members in West Java, and saw his Chimandi and his Sirah. I was like, oh man, Jerry, you got to bring Chechep over. You gotta bring him in. You're gonna love him, So he sent me some videos of him because I never saw Chechep before, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like I got to bring Chechep. So we arranged it. I brought him to Detroit back in 2012. So that was the first seminar I think he ever taught in the United States, in my basement in Detroit in Clawson, Michigan. And man, he showed me, Chimande, Sirah, Chikalang, Sabandar, like pretty much everything. Kind of put a lot of things together. I showed him a lot of things that I had learned, Sirah, Chimande, things like that. So he confirmed a lot of things that I did and could tell me exactly where it came from, what lineage it was, who the teachers were, what village it came from Indonesia. Like he's like an encyclopedia of Pencak Silat. So the great thing is that he confirmed that everything that I had been learning all this time was good and legitimate, and he thought was great, and kind of helped fill in a lot of gaps. When I met Chechep, I told him that I was really interested in more of just the combat aspects of Pencak Silat, of what he had, and not so much the performance, the Ganda or the Selanchars or Tarians or dances or anything like that. Because I already had a lot of that, but I was more interested in the actual Sirah, the Chimande, the hardcore training for combat. And he knew that right away, and that's the way that he taught me. From day one. So I can remember being in my kitchen that first night after training for 8 hours all day nonstop. And just training all night in my kitchen because he's just sitting there showing me all the jurors from Omdal, from the Sirah, and showing me different interpretations and how it was from, Pangalapur and how Omdal, taught it to him and how he interpreted it, talking about history and, other teachers and interpretations and things like that. And it was just phenomenal. So the Sirah that he showed me, I could see the links between that Sirah and the Detwars lineage of what what most people know here in the United States, when it made sense because he trained with Omdal, in the Netherlands. But I could also see it in the Pangalapur Sirah that he already had from West Java, which was very traditional. So eventually down the road, we realized that all the lines crossed and intertwined, and they all started
at some point or another.
Just kind of, went different directions, come back together and, went their ways. And then his lineage through Chimandi and Sirah also connected with my other teacher, Pak Ishmael Sujati, with his lineage of Chimandi and Sirah from his uncle and his father in West Java. So all of our lineages ended up combining. So, I took all that together and combined it with the lineage from my other teacher, Peneka William Sanders, from Willie Wetzel. And we made a complete lineage chart with me and a couple of my students, tying it all together. And I showed that to King Chechep and Pak Ishmael, and they were like, that's it.
Oh, how neat. For your students as well, where they could actually get some assimilation of the.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Yeah. So what do you, okay, that was a lot. That was fantastic. And all that. No. That was good stuff.
Yeah, I even have, I'll show this to you.
Sure.
This is handwritten from King Chechep right here.
And that's kind of what okay. Oh, as far as the break, okay.
Yeah, lineage and things like that.
Yep.
And this is from my other teacher, Pak Ishmael. Lineage.
What is, for the folks, as best in layman terms as you can. So from your initial Bute Nagar experience, Sarak, or, what, depending on all that, to what you're doing now, like, what could you tell as far as, like, some notable.
Yeah. So I never learned any of the Bute Nagara. So I just learned the straight 18 Sirah Jurus and the interpretation from Pak Victor Detwars to my teacher, William Sanders. Then I learned them again from Guro Horacio Rodriguez. And then I learned the Sirah Jurus from Pak Ishmael, and then I learned Sirah Jurus from King Chechep. And I learned other traditional Chimandi Terracotta Sirah Jurus from West Java from my other teacher, Peneka William Sanders, as well. I learned the 5 traditional ones of those. So I learned all these different ones, and then just see the common thread in all of them. And, King Chechep explained to me in Sirah, for example, or Sirak. Now, also that was always a big thing back in the day is, Sirak with a K. That's not the way it's said or spelled or whatever. Some teachers made a big deal, like, oh, if you go to Indonesia, you say Sarak, they go like, something wrong with your throat. So like, trying to say like, oh, there's no Sarak in Indonesia. Well, back then there wasn't, because they didn't talk about it. You know what I mean? It was closed door. You could not go to Indonesia and find Sarak, all the way up until just 5-6 years ago when they finally opened it up to the public. It was very secretive. So if you were, going over there from the United States or Europe and looking for a Silat, don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Now they finally opened it up. Because they realized people in the West have it. So, they want to keep their pusaka alive in Indonesia now. So they want their younger generation to start learning it so they can keep it alive. Now
they start dying out.
Exactly.
There have systems that are dying out, right?
It's dying out, yeah, because the kids in Indonesia, they want to learn MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
No, I know. It's got to be worse than FMA, I'm guessing, over there. I'm sure there's family systems that have died that weren't perpetuated by relatives, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if they don't teach it, it's going to die. It's going to die.
That's sad.
Yep. So they opened it up, and we see that all the lineages are tied right together. The way King Chechep explained to me is there's two lines of Sirah, basically. There's the belligerent Pukulan Sirah, which is the belligerent hitting, right? And then there is more like the Mindpole Sirah, which is a little bit more fluid, and a little bit more, has redirections and things like that.
Like flower, and for example.
A little more energy work and things like that. So what I found is most of Chechep Sirah was very just belligerent hitting, explosive, strike. There's a certain look about it. But you would see the same movements from him as you saw in the Sirah Druze from the Tuareg brothers. So you would see the hammer fist, you would see the elbows, you would see the clearing motions, all these different things, just done a little bit differently. So the way that Chechep would do it was faster and more just hit, where the Tuaregs tend to seem to me maybe have a little bit of Chinese influence in there, because they would do it like that, more internal.
The Kuntao, maybe?
More breathing, more getting the body into it, more relaxing and exploding, and things like that. So almost like a crashing wave, really concentrating on relaxing, tensing and relaxing on impact, and then relaxing again, tensing, relaxing. And that's the way my teacher, William Sanders, taught it, because that's the way, Pac Victor and Owen Paul taught him. And I told that to Chechep, and Chechep, oh yeah, that's this way, and he could show it to me. He'd say, oh yeah, ooh, and then he would do it that way. So he was aware of all of it, and could see it.
That's so fascinating. Wow.
Yeah. So the way that PCK Silat, the way that I teach it now, when I broke away from my teacher back in 2008, myself and my students were a little more focused on the combative aspects. Wanted to get away from the politics and all that kind of nonsense. I was getting tired of that and just wanted to have an organization where it was just no politics, brotherhood, training. We build bridges. We bring in other instructors. We train with whoever we want. We do joint seminars together. We do workshops. We do,
the way it should be. Yeah.
Alliances and things like that. And that's what I started doing. And my students were on board. So we went our own way. And I formed PCK Silat International in 2008, and we just never looked back since then.
Yeah. Well, obviously, it sounds like you're doing something right. So here's my next thing, but I think what we're gonna do is have you demo, and then basically is that having you kind of identify some similarities, differences between Silat weapon methodology versus FMA methodology, Silat empty hand versus FMA methodology. So I'm thinking maybe it'd be kind of neat for you to do the demo first, and then we can tackle that question.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So folks, demo.
Sounds good. All right. Move some stuff out of the way.
I'm kidding. I can lower myself too, so.
All right, so
a little lower.
All right. So talking about small blade, Filipino martial arts, things that we do. For example, we have drills. Say we're in the forward grip. We're doing maybe like Sagang bow, right? We're doing things like this. So we have a lot of these contact drills, bridging drills to build attributes. So we might do things like this. And then, of course, you get our cuts in there, disarms here. This is cut. Right to there. If he's thrusting here, we have things here. Right, we come here, boom, right? Relax there. Yeah. Go here. And right. That'd be one of the counters, right? So we bypass, we check, and we counter, right? Of course, we can cut that first, right? And then we can counter. Kind of the way we do in Silat is a little bit different. In Silat, we have a lot of small circles. So the difference might be if this is coming in as opposed to redirecting, checking, and coming here, or it's making one cut, redirecting, checking, and cutting, we might make complete circles. So I'll see from the camera here, like here, right? So we might quick circles. So when this attack comes in, we come here, okay, a little bit quicker. Okay. We move completely around the opponent. We like to get to the outside in the Silat. So we don't really want to be even here, or we don't want to be here. We want to be here. You see? So we get all the way around. A little bit different. So if we go to the empty hand, okay, in FMA, we will, punch comes in, we'll defang that, right? We'll destroy that, right? Destroy that, destroy that. Come in, boom. We might come in here, lock. Yeah, lock. Lock. Okay. Of course, that's a break too. All right. So a lot of things like that. Of course, we have sipas, right? We might kick, we might pull, we might elbow, we might slap, we might knee, we might take down, right? And then might follow. In Silat, in my system, again, more circular. So I'm going to put this out here for a sec. So if you look at it, okay. So when this punch comes in, okay, we're starting at the fist, and we're destroying all the way up. Okay. At the same time, we want to get that. Our goal is to get to the back side as quick as we can. It might be this quick. See the bite? Yeah. Take down. Okay. Now, when we're talking about drills, right? So Huba, Sagano, both things like that. So if he's punching and we're drilling, you see people doing this or this side. Okay. This. What are we doing? We're doing a fun drill. But let's slow it down. Am I really protecting this little line? So if we're talking about blade systems, whether it's Silat or FMA, how are we really protecting ourselves, right? When he's doing that, is he protected? Okay. Or am I protected now? You see? Here. So whether it be a punch here or an attack here, you see? See the protection. Okay. Now, we've evolved this drill to where we can do any angle, whether it be there, whether it be here, whether it be the punch, whether it be the elbow. And notice when I check the elbow, under and over. Not here. If you had a blade here, you're just going to come underneath and take me up. So when we check it, under and over, I can pull him, I can push him, I can control. Right? See that? Here, control. Under, over. If I just check it, no good. Okay. Under, over here. Very important. If I come underneath, yeah. Scoop that. Underneath. Here. Now here you see this. An FMA. Pikiti. Yeah. Now you can come overhead. Yeah. Okay. So this is how this drill has kind of evolved. And we mix in kicks. We mix in knees. Here's the knee, yeah. And we mix in strikes. Okay. And when we strike, we actually hit. Okay. If you miss, you get hit. You get hit, yeah. Yeah. All right. So now when we talk about sword or blade, right? So I'm going to do this kind of a single demo with this. You can have a seat over there. So it's actually a live blade. This is from Borneo. Okay. So as we know, in Pikiti, we have a particular way of moving, okay, depending on what we're doing. Okay. So we're flowing. Okay. We're flowing this way, okay? In Silat, the blade work tends to be very close. And this is a razor sharp blade, thick spine, okay? But the blade work is very close. Thrown off the body. A lot of people don't really understand it. Okay. So what that is, again, closeness. And this is a sharp blade, so I'm going to turn this over. When you have an attack come in, so say we're doing Pyong in FMA, right? And I'm here. Or I'm here. Okay? In Silat, we tend to do that here, this close, okay? Or on the inside, here, this close. So now when we come around here, this is off my body because we're here. This is razor sharp blade, so going very slow. See that? There. Notice the blade's coming off the shoulder. So when I would counter that, boom, here. See, takes that up, cuts that. Now off this shoulder, in. If the other hand was there, then we'll take that. Boom, this close. So this is some of the closeness with this blade. Okay, very close with the Silat. Now I'm going to show one more thing, and I can show more if you have questions, but I will show a couple of the Eddie Joffrey blade drawers. So these drawers are for the Kujang. This is a traditional Sundanese blade from West Java. It's a large blade with a curve inside, serrations on the back, another curve back here. So actually kind of acts as a crombat as well, but it's very heavy, so you can cleave with it, okay, as far as slashing as well. So the jurus from Connector Eddie Joffrey, there's 11 jurus, and I believe my teacher's one of the only ones that learned these, and I learned them as well. So very simple jurus. So this is number one. And number two. 3, 4. Okay. So these are done with the kujan, but can also be done with a small blade. So when we adapt it to the small blade, these are very short, right? Okay. Everything becomes very small, right? It's a small blade. Okay. Thanks, Zach. All right, I'm gonna come back in here.
Wow, that was fantastic. Thank you. So I guess in layman's terms, I mean, I definitely, when you were doing the long blade, definitely could see how you're using the body and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely could see the, as far as keeping it close to you and all that. With respect to empty hand, that was interesting. So the small circling strikes to get to the back,
right,
and all that. So definitely seeing the differences and all that. Do you blend so as far as like your curriculum or what have you? I mean, do you kind of blend it?
I keep the curriculum separate. So
yeah, I'm gonna say that's gotta be
the Silat curriculum, and then we got the PTK curriculum separate. Yeah. But as far as myself, I've been doing them both for so long. I think they both just come out at any time. So
yeah, I can see why you would keep it separate though, because I'm just looking at the distinct movements. That would be tough as far as a curriculum to your students. Like, what do you?
Yeah, the curriculums are so big. I mean, you have to keep them separate.
No. I would definitely see why. Interesting on the hoobit. Like, I never understood, and I'm that why you would not cover under the elbow. Like you said, I mean, getting blue worm. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yep.
Is that still readily done where they're not doing it?
I've still seen a lot of people not covering under the elbow, just going like this and just tapping it down.
For the sake of just doing it, but they're not even. Wow. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And on every line, in Silat and Shmani and Sarat and Chikalong, and this palm up, palm down motion is in pretty much everything that you do. And Joffrey was known for that with the breaks and things. So automatically, we look at when we do Sagan Labo or Hubad in Shamane, we call it Khalid Latihan. And so Khalid basically means to dodge. Latihan means exercise. Okay. So we say Khalid Latihan, it's the same exact drill. It's just that we approach it a little bit different way. So when we are approaching this angle coming in, we're in this position. This is a snake position. And we're looking at this body of the snake catching it, and this is an eye jab. So you're attacking the eye. Then this is coming out on the backside and attacking the eye. And then you immediately are coming down.
Then you're recovering
here. You got the under and over. And then from there, of course, then you can elbow and destroy and do whatever you'd like to do.
Yeah, I didn't know. I just thought, that's interesting because, like if you're not covering that out, that's interesting that people are still.
Kind of the way that I evolved my system too is, we used to do a lot of self-defense techniques and a lot of things against like grabs and holds and things like that. But the way I teach now, and it's just kind of evolved over the years, is my belief is if somebody could grab you, whether it be grab your wrist or grab you, get you in a hold or anything like that, put their hands on you, push you, touch you, they could have stabbed you. They could have killed you already.
100%. If they could touch you.
Yeah. So we don't do any self-defense techniques anymore where it's like, a guy gets you on a shirt grab or wrist grab or this or that. No, we teach to counter as it's being applied and destroy anything that's coming in at us. So that's a little bit different, from the way that I learned initially, because there was a lot of, things against grabs and counters and, things like that. And the way we approach blocks and disarms are a little bit different too. Just from the years of sparring and fighting the way that we've done and the way that I've done. I still see a lot of instructors say, okay, just throwing a one and, you just come in there and, block, just block off the one. And then
they allow a weapon there that you could.
Yeah. So
magic.
Basically, the way I train my students is it's always off the backside of the power stroke, meaning we do a lot of things off of 3, which again is kind of tri-V formula, triangle 3. So if somebody's throwing like a 1, 2, 2, if you're 1, 1, like this, if you're working on it, if you want to block off that 1, it has to come off their really powerful 2 strike. So after they throw that powerful 2 strike, you don't even give them time to throw the 1 yet. You're already in there. And by the time you're in there, that 1 is coming and it has no power and you're inside the arc of the power. And that's really the only way you're going to get a true connection on that block. Same thing if they're throwing a hard, opposite angle, you come in on the other side. And disarms are something that just kind of happen after you strike them 100 times and, the stick's kind of hanging there and you're able to get in there and take it away.
Yeah, somebody really skilled. I mean, big attacks, wide attacks, sewing machine, your big telegraph, one thing. But man, somebody slick like you were just showing, that's going to be a nightmare to disarm. That's going to be. That's going to be. Yeah.
That's going to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God. The very small, minute percentage of martial artists are that skilled, and thank God, the criminal element is not skilled like that.
Right. God. I know somebody requested me to do some Python techniques, Python applications, the snake systems. I can show a couple of those if you like.
Yeah, go ahead. No. I'll let myself in. Do it.
Okay. All right, so the Python system is a subsystem within PCK Silat, and it normally starts with what we call the Cobra system, meaning that if the guy's coming in, we're going to attack it with pinpoint striking, whether it be inside or outside, okay, like this first. Or we're going to do like a Python bite, which is a slap, very similar in Paquita Church, the way that we slap. So when you slap, for example, you might slap here and then say here, right? And then I might come in here with these fang strikes here and down, straight down, okay? And of course here I can break. The biting or the slapping from the Python, see here, now traps. And you can't see, but I also have the foot trapped. So shoulder break here, I'm gonna let off the foot so I don't break it. Here's the takedown, and here's the shoulder break. Yeah. So a lot of wrapping and breaking with the Python system. You might redirect, hit with these types of strikes here, cobra heads. You can see here on this side. Yeah, this will be better. So when it comes in, hit, cut, right? And when you cut here, boom, down. Now, take it down. Okay. Of course, here we can break, follow up. Bring this down a little bit for this. Okay, so from here, punch comes. Here. Now when we come here, we break. Break. So the Python basically is a breaking system, and it will do the same thing against the legs, for example. Sometimes we'll go low, we'll take the legs up. So show one from here. So as a punch comes, right? We hit here, we break. We drop. When I come down here, I pull this in. And, here's the break here. Okay. If this kick comes, legs there, there's the break here. I'm still upright, so I can see and move against other people. I still got this locked. Okay, so I got other people, I can deal with them. So it's just a little glimpse into some Python applications.
Okay, can I just see the leg one again? No, I'm just kidding. For your training.
You want to see that one again? He loves it. He loves it.
Kidding. No, just hearing his groan. No, just kidding. You go to seminars and you set people up. Oh, can I
do that one more time?
Yeah, while they're getting tortured out there. But no, all that was fantastic. That was great stuff, man. So all right, so far as your student, I mean, what do you try? Whether it be the Silat, the PTK, what do you try and instill in your students as far as their journey is concerned?
So I mean, basically whatever they're looking for. So a lot of my students had prior martial arts training. Most of them that come to me. Zach, I believe you've done Aikido. What else?
That's karate and judo.
Karate, judo, Aikido. Like some other students, JKD, Kempo, some Filipino martial arts, other things. But what I find most of the time is what most students in general are looking for is one complete system. And I find that both FMA and Silat are both complete systems. So then it becomes the dilemma of, man, I got this whole Silat curriculum, I got this whole Pikiti tertiary curriculum. Like, how do I learn all this? So lots of times it comes down to, what someone's passion is. They tend to just kind of be drawn more towards Pikiti or more towards Silat. And my thing is, if you love Penchak Silat, but you still love FMA, you still love Pikiti, go as far as you can in Penchak Silat, immerse yourself into that, train only that, but keep that as like a brother art on the side. So you've kind of mastered or gone as far as you want to go in that, and then just jump over to the FMA and continue to work on that. And that's kind of what I did, actually. So, I started with FMA first, but when I jumped into the Silat, I just went Silat full bore. Full bore. I mean, I stopped teaching Kempo and JKD, and I was teaching nothing but Silat classes, You
can see it, though. I could see when you start talking about it, you could see it come out in you. I mean,
So, but Pikiti's always been that passion on the side. That I've never ever, gave up or stopped doing. And just ever so often, it's just like, man, that's all I want to do is Pikiti for, the next. So my students will see it. So then we'll do something, and then it's like, oh, can we do that again? Because they might not see it again for a month or two, because there's just so much information, there's so much, curriculum.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. So, all right, no, this has been fantastic. We're coming at the tail end. So, what are your personal goals as far as you personal goal in your system as far as coming?
So my goal originally for the my PCK Silat and the organization was just to expose it to the world, the beauty of it, the how artistic it is, but deadly at the same time, the culture, the moral code that goes with it, which is very important. So in Silat we talk about Adat and Hormat, the respect, and the culture. And, to me, having an ethical code is one of the most important things. And that's something that was lacking in my early days training with certain teachers. And that's why I left certain teachers, is because that just wasn't there. So when I formed PCK International, my goal was to, have an ethical, moral code that we could have with the organization and non-political, so open to everyone, no politics, no backbiting, no name calling. Nobody's the best. Nobody's this or that. My students, Guru Derek Owens, Guru Darren Felsop, my son, Guru Brian Jacobs, we all make decisions together. I'm not the grand poobah, I might be Guru Basar, but, these guys, these are my brothers. These are my training partners. They're family. My son, Brian, obviously is my son. But when we talk about things like, what are we going to do? We're going to do this summer camp. We're going to do this program or this program. We talk about it together. We make decisions together. So I think that's a big difference.
I know. I'm sure they appreciate it too, being inclusive,
Yeah. And honesty, very, very important. I've had some teachers in the past that, honesty wasn't always their number one, thing. So, my students know I'm, super duper honest. You could ask me anything. I'll tell you anything. I'll give you all the information that I have. If I don't know it, I'm going to tell you, but I'll tell you where to find it.
Or you'll say, hey, look, let me try to find out for you. But
exactly.
It's like just being honest. I think people appreciate that too. When they see that, like, you're being honest and, hey, no, I don't know, but hey, let me see if I can find out for you.
Right. Yeah. And as far as like physically with PCK Silat, I mean, my goal is to, for it to be a progressive, modern, progressive martial art that's, meant for survival, self-defense, and combat, but still adheres to the moral code of the ancient traditions, so we still pay respect to where it came from, the founders, the masters, the culture, the country, things like that, very respectful. My teachers from Indonesia, their family, King Checha, Pak Ishmael, so that's very important, one big family.
Sounds like so we got I'll let you go. We got Brian's asking, do you offer any Zoom classes for Silat?
Yep, I do. I do offer Zoom classes. We also have an online training program, an extensive online training program that we've had since 2009. So it's been going on for quite a long time. hundreds and hundreds of videos, training manuals, notes, things like that. And it's very inexpensive.
What's the website for that?
The website's pckclot.com.
Okay, and just like the YouTube. Okay.
Yep, pckclot.com. You go there, you'll see we have a store. You can purchase manuals, books, DVDs. We have DVDs with myself, with King Chachep Rahman, different workshops and seminars, like Guru Derek Owings, Chimande, Sarah, all kinds of different things. And of course, Zoom class as well. We actually have a Zoom class coming up on Sarah, December 4th and 5th. So it's today. Yep, so that's coming up on Sarah. We'll be going over some Sarah Jurus, applications, footwork, traditional breathing from King Chachep, from Sarah, from Om Dolph, and a bunch of different fun stuff there. So that'll be December 4th and 5th. That'll be through Zoom.
Awesome. Wow.
And of course, I do one-on-ones as well. So.
Okay, online as well. Okay.
Yep, through Zoom. Yep.
No, I'll be checking out your website. Well, this has been fun. I really appreciate you coming on. This has been awesome. Just, as far as you just giving the compare and contrast, as far as between FMA and Silat. I mean, like, I haven't had that done on here yet, and I thought you did it really well. So I appreciate that. That was nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I got to thank Lori for, again, mentioning you and all that. So
yeah, thanks, Lori.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I'm going to put here, I'm definitely going to, make people aware of your website and YouTube channel, and then the Zoom class on the 4th and 5th. I know you tagged me on that, so
yeah.
I'll share that in FMA discussion. And so
sounds good.
Yeah, anytime you want to put your stuff in there, I mean, please do. I mean, that's
okay.
Green light. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah, it should be a lot better than some of the other stuff that comes in. I didn't say that. But all right, well, thank you so much. And I'm sorry, your training partner. I'm sorry, your student. There's
Zach.
Oh,
Zach.
Yeah. No, I want to thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. But all right, sir. Well, you take care, and thank you again for coming on.
All right, thanks, Dean.
All right.
Have a good night.
Be good.
All right, bye.
All right, folks. Awesome. Yeah. So his YouTube is PCK Silat. You can find it on YouTube, and the website is pckclot.com for those interested. And he does have that event. He did tag me. I'll share that in FMA discussion, so everybody can see it. The 4th and the 5th there. And who is next coming up? This Friday, David Hatch and his wife, and I'm going to really try to get the LeMaco out of them. They did a lot of seminar training with PG Edgar back in the day. And so we haven't had a LeMaco session on here for a while. So I'm really looking forward to that. In the meantime, if you haven't already, you can sign up for FMA discussion on YouTube, where you can see this interview and other great ones. FMA discussion. That's all you need to put in there for YouTube. And again, all our money that we receive goes to charities. And the Christmas raffle being held December 12th, $5 a ticket. You're helping children. So if you can do that, that'd be a great help for us. So the more money we can send over there. But all right, folks, thank you for those who watched and commented. And until Friday, I will see you then. All right, good night.